Hey guys, welcome to episode 16 of the Dash Gamer podcast, you arsehole. I'm one of your host, Dash, along with our co-host, Mr. Ryan Betson. What's going on, Betson?
Hey man, what's going on? I'm good. How are you?
Yeah, not bad. I was a little bit thrown off at the start because I forgot what episode number, and then you turn around and go, look at you, remember? And I was like, no.
I'm like, no, I don't remember anything. I went the polar opposite, really.
Not at all. And I feel like I've just begun For the Players episode, just repeating myself.
Yeah, doing like 4 attempts to get the one show star. You know?
Oh my god. Guys, if you didn't know, this is the Dash Gamer podcast, our bi-weekly gaming podcast where all the boys get together and talk about the latest in the world of video gaming. Don't forget to follow us over on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. Give us those cheeky 5-star ratings. They surely help us out. Betson just pulls it out of his cardigan.
That's right.
That's right.
Many good things are kept in cardigans, including 5-star ratings on iTunes.
That's right. And leave us a little sneaky review that helps us. And also catch the VOD on dashgamer.com and on YouTube. Subscribe, hit that bell, leave us a like and a comment. That surely helps us out. Betson, have you got any housekeeping?
Yes. No more housekeeping than usual. So just the young and the wrestlers as we head into SummerSlam. So we're talking a bit about that.
Yeah.
As WWE look to get out of the Performance Center and do something a little bit different. So that's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
For the players still kicking.
Yeah.
So our PlayStation pod.
Yeah.
This week I get a little bit ranty.
Oh
about
yeah.
something that we're also discussing here tonight.
You sure do.
That'll be fun.
Yep.
I also guest on an episode of a show this week. I don't think it's been announced yet, but it kind of has. But it kind of hasn't.
Yeah, look out for it on Friday.
Look out for it on Friday. Friday. You know.
Yeah, because
it's going to be pretty sweet.
Yes.
Sweet like candy.
Yes.
Man.
On Friday. Look out for that on Friday on your podcast services and on dashgamer.com as well, being featured there as well. Now, for housekeeping for dashgamer.com, Operation PlayStation episode 15 is out, so make sure you head over and check that out. PlayStation Full Steam Ahead opinion piece by myself. It's my first opinion piece in 5 years. Where I talk about
no opinion since then, not a single one,
not one.
Only now.
Where I talk about first party titles from PlayStation ending up on Steam sometime in the future. Sword Art Online Alicization, thanks to Madman for providing the review copy. The Devil is a Part-Timer as well from Madman. Thank you very much for providing that review copy as well.
That's a cool name.
Yeah, it is. It's actually a really good series too. The Dash Gamer playlist, number 35, thanks to Leo Stevenson from Power Up, who curated that playlist. Awesome playlist as well. Chuck on your headphones, rock it out one afternoon. You know, we're all in ISO, so may as well. And Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 review, thanks to the kind folk over at Xbox Australia for providing that review code. Myself and Betson will be sitting down and talking about it this episode as well. But that's it for housekeeping, Betson.
Yeah, it's a quiet-ish time.
Yeah, it is. It is. But thanks to Miss Ellie Hart, what time is it?
Well, Dash, it's time for the news.
Betson, it is time for the news.
No!
Yeah, you couldn't hear it. I could.
It's one of those sneaky ones.
Betson. The first one comes by way, it's a big one, from Shannon over at Press Start, who says... And I'm hoping that it comes up. Here we go. Halo Infinite has been delayed until next year. Oh, boy. 343 has announced that Halo Infinite has been delayed until 2021. In a statement posted on social media, the Halo Waypoint blog, the studio head cited COVID-related impacts and multiple other factors that contributed to development challenges.
Memes mostly.
Pretty much, yeah. The statement read, today I want to share an important Halo Infinite development update with the community. We have made the difficult decision to shift our release to 2021 to ensure the team has adequate time to deliver a Halo game experience that meets our vision. The decision to shift our release is the result of multiple factors that have contributed to development challenges, including the ongoing COVID-related impacts affecting us all this year. I want to acknowledge the hard work from our team at 343 Industries, who have remained committed to making a great game and finding solutions to development challenges. However, it is not sustainable for the well-being of our team or the overall success of the game to ship it this holiday. We know this will be disappointing to many of you, and we all share in this sentiment. The passion and support the community has shown over the years has been incredible and inspiring. We want nothing more than to play our game. We want nothing more than to play our game. I'm guessing what they're saying is they want nothing more than for us to play their game with the community this holiday. The extra time will let us finish the critical work necessary to deliver the most ambitious Halo game ever at the quality we know our fans expect. Thank you for your support and understanding. Chris Lee, Studio Head, Halo Infinite. Betson.
Yes, sir.
As PlayStation fanboys ourselves, we have to admit, this is some sad news for Xbox. As essentially what this does now is puts them in the back seat at launch period.
It does. Completely.
They had a strong first-party title ready to go right at launch for their new generation, and now they don't.
Yeah, like it's a difficult situation because this was essentially their Breath of the Wild.
Yep.
In the way that like this is their big staple game to launch the console with.
Yep.
And sadly, they don't have it at the moment. It is a massive kick in the dick, and I do feel for Microsoft, or like for those that are working on it and for those that are excited. As I said, like myself, I'm not super keen on the Series X. I'm not going to pick it up anyway because, you know, my biases is showing. But, you know, it makes it very difficult.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes around to when there's some discussions that we've had in the past about how it is already difficult to find a reason to buy a new Xbox.
Yep.
They have just lost their biggest reason.
Mm-hmm.
So, like previously, the reasoning was like, oh, well, I guess we can play Halo, you know, because everything else is playable on PC. As of right now, there's not a whole lot of other, not even first-party games that are coming to the Series X at launch.
Yep.
Now, granted, PlayStation don't have a whole lot either.
No.
So,
well, nothing that's concrete at the moment. They haven't really announced anything.
Yeah, aside from like Morales and Godfall, perhaps.
Godfall pretty much being the primary pillar right now that's holding up PlayStation 5 in terms of people actually purchasing the unit at launch. But in saying that, we aren't guaranteed anything yet because PlayStation really have not announced anything. And we're expecting some news in September, hopefully. Maybe even...
Goddamn hope so, because it's getting ridiculous.
Yeah, a price would be nice. You know, pre-orders opening would be great. I want to give PlayStation my money. In saying that as well, I just spent $3,500 on a PC, and partially is for work, partially is for gaming. Right now, as it stands, don't need an Xbox One X at launch.
Not even a little bit.
Sorry, no, a Series X. Not even a little bit. Not even a Series S do I need. It's one of those things now where they have lost a big market right there that would essentially come in as casual gamers that are like more devoted to the PlayStation and Nintendo side of things. Now, these Nintendo and PlayStation fans have no reason to essentially test drive the Xbox Series X at launch.
Yeah, well, the big difference is from observation, I would say that Microsoft aren't even playing that game anymore. They're playing a completely different battle.
Yep.
Right? So we've got PlayStation who are doing the old tried and true method. It's console to sell games, right?
Yep.
Now, where Xbox and Microsoft they've gone the other route. They're like, buy it if you want. We're services now. Like they're essentially becoming a publisher in like the easiest way to explain it, right?
No, that's
like,
correct.
And they're a hardware sales second, which is what Microsoft has always been.
Yep.
Like they've always been hardware second. Like the thing that brings them the most cash, the thing that's made them relevant is Office and Windows, right?
Yep.
Software.
Yep.
Where Sony's always been making gear. You know, Walkman, Sony Ericsson, you know, back, whatever you want. They are hardware first.
Bravias.
And, Bravia, that's Sally.
Mm-hmm.
So they're hitting different things now. I think they're probably playing to their strengths, if anything, in a better space now, especially with Microsoft making that switch. Like, once they realized that they had lost this current generation, they took that shift towards a more customer focused sort of area, which then pushed them into more server side of things, and that seems to be doing well for them. Like, they may not be pushing Xboxes, but they are certainly doing well from if I know you hate the word, from an optics standpoint, like from pure observation,
I don't really hate it, but
it looks better.
Yeah,
they look to be doing better because every decision they're making is, hey, it's for you guys.
Yeah, no, 100%.
And although I see this as a hit, with them not entirely focusing on the console per se, they may not see too much of a hit. But in that same piece, they did also pretty much double down that it's coming in November.
The problem here's where the problem lies, though. It's that so the console's coming in November. We're pretty we're certain that its release is happening in November. I mean, it's traditional that every console launches in November, except for Nintendo these days. They decide March is probably the perfect placement of a launch period, but it's one of those things now where if you are not an Xbox devotee, if you're not a hardcore Xbox fanboy, you're not part of that market. They're not going to be looking at that and going, for sure we're going to sell to the masses.
So as you said, unless you're a dedicated Xbox fanboy, you're right. There's no real reason, especially with the idea that everything is available on PC, or everything is like that. The idea of generations no longer existing. Unless you're super excited, there is 100% no reason to pick it up.
Yeah. It's weird, especially heading into a new generation and seeing a console essentially be like, well, this is all we got. We got the box ready. Here it is. And not to say that, like, last gen, that's pretty much PlayStation's... this gen, that's what happened with PlayStation. They had a handful of third-party titles that lined up and, like, knack. And that was it. And we were in an awkward circumstance where we were waiting for like titles like Watch Dogs and Infamous to come out, but it took almost a year because they kept getting delayed.
Yeah, and I guess that's the other big switch as well. So as we sort of mentioned with, Halo being their big first party seller, like most console launches don't tend to have that big standalone fucking king hit unless you're Nintendo. Nintendo have pretty consistently had a big like swing for the fence at launch. Where from memory, PlayStation, Microsoft have always been kind of except for obviously Xbox Original, which had Halo. Like there's always no big hitter. So it's disappointing, but what can you do?
Moving on to the next story of the night. This one comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who says, Ghost of Tsushima Legends is a free co-op multiplayer mode. Fresh from its record-breaking single-player success, Ghost of Tsushima will enter the realm of online co-op later this year, as Sucker Punch refreshes the open worlder with a free update. Announced on the PlayStation blog, the all-new Ghost of Tsushima Legends mode will whisk up 4 players away to two fantastical locations inspired by Japanese folk tales and mythology, with an, quote, emphasis on cooperative combat and action, end quote. Quote, we designed Legends to be exclusively cooperative gameplay experience. To be words. Explained senior game designer Darren Bridges. Quote, you'll be able to partner up with friends or via online matchmaking and play Legends in groups of 2 to 4 players. Each player can choose from one of 4 different character classes: the Samurai, Hunter, Ronin, or Assassin. Each class has unique advantages and abilities that will reveal in the future, end quote. Betson, this is cool. I like the fact that they're prolonging Ghost of Tsushima and they're not just like, immediately discarding it because we're now at the end of its generational life cycle. Well, at least the PlayStation's generation life cycle. They're given a quality of life and essentially lets players also, like with the backwards compatibility coming into play with PlayStation 5, there's no doubt that this will be a title you'll be able to play on your next-gen system. So this will just prolong that already existing broad scope in gameplay that Ghost of Tsushima offers, and just adds on top of everything else that has been achieved within this title.
I think it's very impressive to have it come so quickly as well, as you mentioned. Like, the game has only been out for about a month.
Yep.
And the idea of like a multiplayer mode, it tends to me, it feels like something that would come out in like 6 months.
Yeah.
Right? It'd be like, oh, let's push some sales, let's bring it back. Like using Control as an example. Like, it's been it's pushing a year, and we were still just about to receive, the Alan Wake expansion, right?
Yeah.
So like, ideally, you want that stuff like near release, people still care.
Yeah.
And the game's long enough. Like, I haven't finished it yet. I'm actually kind of bored with it. So maybe this could be what brings a bit of spark. Even though it's not the main campaign multiplayer, it's a little offshoot.
Yeah.
Still cool.
Well, this was never really a Betson game in the first place.
No, but I knew that going in.
Yeah. So this may be what brings you back into the fold, because what it'll do is have players like PAJ Joel drag you back in and say, hey, let's have a game of Legends tonight.
Yep.
And see what happens there. I mean, it's intriguing. I don't know about a fully fledged concept, though, that they're bringing to Ghost of Tsushima in terms of multiplayer, though, because the gameplay style kind of resonates more of an open world hack and slash. I don't see how that could actually work with online co-op, other than you jump in and you face other players online in
I imagine
sword
it'd be
fighting.
wave-based, if anything, or other players.
Yeah, probably, more than likely. Look, it's an intriguing concept. I'm really happy that Sucker Punch are actually prolonging the life of a brand new IP and not just putting it to the side. As well as PlayStation, they're going full force and fully fledged and believing what they can do with this title. So that's awesome to see, man. The following story is more PlayStation news. Comes by way of Joe Screbbles over at IGN, who says Sony working on next generation VR headset, but it might not be PSVR. Just 5 years to wait, he says. Sony is developing a next gen VR headset, but it may not be related to PlayStation VR. A job listing spotted by Upload VR explains that Sony is hiring a team to create a quote next generation VR head mounted display, end quote. However, this device is not being developed, quote, with a view to 5 years from now, end quote. And the listing has been posted by the core Sony Corporation rather than Sony Interactive Entertainment, which created the original PSVR headset. Okay, so in saying that then, what I see is if they are developing a VR headset that's not for PlayStation, this very may well be for computer use, PC use, in terms of games that they might port to PC, or they have some sort of outlet that they're going to be doing, like with PlayStation Now or something, and it connects to a Bravia TV. What are your thoughts?
It could also just be R&D.
True. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're like, so if with an application like that, it's like, look, what we're looking for the next 5 years. So as in, we need to think what's happening, not what's happened, but what's happening. So it's like we want to look at VR for the next 5 years, because as technology increases rapidly over time, what VR was today will be staggeringly different in 5 years.
Yeah,
and although it may not be backed by Sony Interactive Entertainment as in PlayStation, by having it be backed by Sony Direct, that actually widens the scope at which the VR can be used. So right now it's reliant on a PlayStation and gaming, where VR has staggeringly bigger implications. So that it can be used in terms of medical, it can be used in terms of, experiences that you couldn't have. Like, holy shit, Dash. Imagine we just put on a VR headset and we're, especially in a COVID world, we're at a concert, we're at a sports game, we're at WrestleMania.
I knew this was coming. Thunderdome.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like that. Like that's where it could go. And I think it's, and maybe it's something that's bigger. Like it's bigger than PlayStation, but it can be used alongside, perhaps. Because right now, Sony own the market with VR.
Do you think so?
The accessibility of PSVR is why it is the best-selling VR unit, and because it's the price point as well.
I was going to ask you, what do you think of the current state of VR within PlayStation right now?
The problem with VR in general is because there's not enough big hitters in the game. Like, there's a lot of, really dedicated indies or, like, really sort of standout mid-tier games.
Yeah.
But the frequency of big blockbuster games is few and far between. And those blockbuster games is what brings people in.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, like, granted, like, we've had some cool stuff, like Blood and Truth, and even though it wasn't that good, like, Iron Man VR is kind of trying to be considered as a big blockbuster game, and even when they put Skyrim in there as well, and even though Fallout never came to PlayStation VR, which I think it should have, because that would have been a needle mover.
Yeah.
But majority of the time, it sits on the shelf behind me.
Yeah.
Like, I bring it out occasionally to review something or to get some Beat Saber, and that's about it. So that's the biggest hurdle. Is it's not even accessibility, because it's readily available. People can jump on it. It's just the software that comes with it. So when you are, unlike PC with its Steam and freer marketplace, there's always something everywhere for VR. But when the application is just games, it's kind of choking what you could do.
It's a niche. See, that's the thing too. With PSVR, I've always felt like they've always tried to be the premier, like they've marketed themselves as premier virtual reality.
Yeah,
they're not, and that's a fact.
For the average user, yes.
Yeah,
because like if you look at it, it's like $400 at best for complete pack of PSVR.
It's accessible VR though.
Like, that sounds good.
Yeah.
And then you look over here and you're like, oh, Vive, that's a $3,000 unit. Like, I'm gonna go that one.
Yeah, of course. But what you're getting with Vive and Oculus compared to PSVR, it all depends on what you want out of it too, out of that experience. Do you want something that's going to be sharp, crystal clear, and precise to like a virtual reality? Or do you want something that's going to be used every so often? Now, understanding that VR is not like going to be something that's a lengthy experience every time, then yeah, an accessible option is viable in that circumstance.
Yeah, like myself, like, I'm a father with a young kid, and, my young kid just, he probably really cut
the feed.
But my kid just walked in and fucking turned my computer off.
Yep.
And, like, I could see him do it. Imagine if I was in VR, and, like, I've isolated myself from the world. Like, I can't do that as a parent.
No, exactly, yeah.
You know what I mean? So the VR already has a lot of those hurdles.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, yeah, and on top of that, if this means that they're going to put money into giving me something that isn't fucking Move controllers, then they can take as long as they want. I say that, but if it's in 5 years from now, that'll make the Move controllers 16 years old, and I can't have that.
No, definitely not. Betson, the next story comes by way of Shannon over at Press Start, who says Australian game box art will have to show microtransactions / in-game purchases going forward. Good move. The Australian Ratings Board has ruled that all games featuring microtransactions or in-game purchases will need to be highlighted on box art going forward. This comes from a user on Reddit who has detailed this change. This will only be required for games going forward, which means that it will affect likes of Marvel's, Avengers, FIFA 21, PGA...
Oh, yeah, it's going to affect both those games.
Yeah, PGA Tour 2K21 and Madden NFL 21. You can see on the Marvel's Avengers listing that in-game purchases are now listed in the consumer advice section. Australia is already quite strict in comparison to the rest of the world in terms of what retailers need to show on the front of each game cover. For instance, games need to state if a game has virtual reality features or require internet access part of the game. It's expected that in-game purchases will be disclosed and feature along the bottom, like shown below. So there is a picture up on the screen right now where the ratings is, and it reads science fiction. This is for Avengers. Science fiction. It's rated M. Science fiction, violence, online interactivity, and in-game purchases. Interesting. This has been long overdue. I feel like, with microtransactions and in-game purchases being the norm, which they shouldn't be. You don't pay for a cheeseburger without the cheese. It's one of those things where I believe now consumers being highlighted on the fact that they're buying a title that essentially you have to pay to win in a way. It's not cheating the system anymore. You can't cheat the system like that anymore, and it's good. I agree for once with our ratings board.
There are issues here.
Okay.
I think this is 100% a step in the right direction, and I appreciate it, and I think it's great.
Yeah.
The minor issues that we'll be facing are pretty standard with ratings right now.
Yep.
How many underage children still play Call of Duty Modern Warfare, a game, or GTA? So right now, parents already don't give a fuck about ratings. Now, granted, this is covering their ass, and if anything, this is creating a change of responsibility. It's like, we put it on there. Your child went and bought like $10,000 worth of DLC.
Yeah,
it's not us. It's on the box.
Yeah,
I think that's one of the big things, because even though I agree that microtransactions and those sort of loot boxes, I know which are two separate things, they should be treated as such, are kind of gross and predatory. I do really kind of sit on, as it's progressed, I sit on the side of there should be some responsibility on the people involved.
Yep.
It's cool, and I think they should be not regulated, but they should be like not be as egregious, but you as a player or you as a parent must be more responsible.
Yeah, I agree.
And so I like this. That does pass that ownership, which is fantastic. However, Dash.
Yeah.
The big thing. Will games, because you as a publisher, you will have to pay for the classification.
Yeah.
To be put to the board.
Yep.
What if you are the likes of Crash Team Racing, which at launch had no microtransactions? 1 month later, suddenly it does.
Yeah.
Are they being restickered? Are they being re-rated? Obviously, on the digital storefronts, it can be easily updated if it gets classified again.
I think the way it works in that circumstance is there's going to be a period where they're going to have to, like the Australian Classification Board is going to be have to kind of be very firm on their stance and say, okay, will there be microtransactions? And if they say no, and it's like, no, at launch we understand now, but are you planning to implement them in the future? Because for sure, Crash Team Racing, if it was only a month out, which it was, they would have known. They would have been like, oh yeah, we're going to... Yeah. So they would have had to sticker it, right? There have been times, and you're right in that circumstance, we're re-stickering a lot of games. Coming from JB Hi-Fi and working on the floor, there's been plenty of times where we've had to re-sticker games. Like plenty. Plenty of games that have come through that have been like MA15 plus, but it was supposed to be rated R, and we've had to re-sticker them.
And that's fine. Like, I have no issue with that. It's just more of my issue, or my concern, I should say, would be more around, companies like Activision who
slipping through the cracks, selling those games.
Like that decision with Crash Team Racing was 100% intentional. Yeah. They wanted to circumvent it. So for the reviews, they're like, this game has microtransactions. It's amazing. Lol jokes, here's some. That was part of the plan. Yeah. And all I hope is if the Australian Classification Board are known for being harsh, like the amount of times the game's been banned here and not elsewhere, which they should be, and because I think that regulation is important, especially as a parent myself, and just sort of ensuring things go where.
Yeah.
But if that turns out, if Crash Team Racing, we use that one example, if it happens, then a month later they sneak it in, the Classifications Board better be like, all right, pull it from the shelves. Until it's reclassified, pull them all.
Yeah, I agree.
Or they apply for reclassification, then you re-sticker them.
Betson, the following story comes by way of Sammy Barker over at Push Square, who says there's been a big scandal about whether Ps5 can run games in 4K. Yeah, this is a bit of an odd one. If you've pressed your ear close to social media this week, you may have heard some rumblings about PlayStation 5's purported inability to run at 84K resolution. It's been a big topic for days now, but appears to have come to a head this weekend, with even one developer speaking out against the speculation. What's the gossip then? Dusk Gollum, a notorious rumormonger who's been sharing Capcom intel for a good few months, reported that developers were struggling to get their games running in 4K on the PlayStation 5 console. Quote, you'll see a lot of fake 4K, he claimed. Quote, that doesn't matter to some, but get ready for that. End quote. Okay, look. How do we begin this? It's one of those things where with PlayStation 4, we're not really playing 84K, and they've already admitted that. But despite a couple of games, like The Last of Us Remastered.
Yeah, so the difference, what we've been seeing so far is, not native 4K. We've been seeing 30, 1440p upscaled. It's kind of the
2160p, yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like standard and then bumped up to the 2160.
Ultra high definition is what they claim it to be.
Yeah. So in terms of I do wonder with that. Because there is the thing is like, yes, the PS5 isn't on paper as powerful as the Xbox Series X. However, like, I would like to think optimistically, this is just some bullshit. Like, I almost expected this sentence to be like, the PS5 can't run 4K, but the Xbox can. Hashtag Xbox best. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what I was getting. That's the vibe that I got, but that could just be me. Sort of, once again, my bias is showing.
No, that's all right.
I think I would like to think, from my very minimal understanding of gear, is that what these two consoles are capable of should at least be able to deliver 4K 30.
Yeah,
4K 60. I think we'll be pushing it here and there.
Yep.
But I think we'll be pushing it for a little while.
I think it's more than capable of doing so, though.
Yeah.
The article actually continues. It goes, Golem was confronted by a developer asking for more information about the rumor, to which he replied, he's, quote, not educated enough to know the specifics. He continued, quote, I'm just passing stuff I heard along from people working in games for both platforms. He also said its own upcoming game, Quantum Era developer Team Killer Media have stated, Quantum Era currently runs at 4K at 65 to 70 frames per second unoptimized. We will be hitting our goal of 4K 60 frames per second, and there will be much more than just corridors. Look, developers are already coming out and stating it.
Yeah, but then again, if he's like...
it could be a marketing
the second that he went, I can't verify it, like, this is what I've just heard. I'm like,
just debunks everything.
I've fucking heard many, many things, mate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I could just make something up right now.
Yep. It's bullshit.
It's
hearsay.
Yeah.
To even come out and say it, though, it's like, mate, yeah, we get you. You're kind of like a rumor monger, but at the same time, don't be spreading bullshit like that.
Yeah, it depends. Like, if he's a rumor monger, that's fine. There's plenty of people like this fucking Iron Man PS5. I don't know who the hell he is.
Look, there's reliable sources, but then there's these people that come out just claiming bullshit.
Yeah, but it's one of those things. If they can back it up, I understand they obviously cannot disclose their complete source because whatever. But if your statement is this, I don't know how to explain it because I don't have any of the evidence that you want I don't have anything really.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
there's nothing concrete there.
You're full of shit.
Now, granted, there has been discussion within the last month, and we brought it up on For the Players and Ops, that PlayStation 5 may not run 4K 60 frames per second. It may run 84K, but we may be locked at 30 frames. However, this is the first report we've seen that it's fake 4K. If that's fact, that games aren't running 84K on PS5, then there is a real issue. Because Xbox has promised that games will be running at 4K, and I believe it. I believe that Xbox can because they have the chipset and everything else in that system capable of doing so.
But saying that though, like the Xbox Series, the Xbox One X, this gets confusing. The Xbox One X is capable. If you watch any Digital Foundry video, you see 4K 30 all the time.
Yep.
The PS5 is more capable than the than the Xbox One X. And not as capable as the Series X, technically, but it is more powerful. So if the One X can do it, pretty sure the fucking PS5 can.
I agree.
Like what you're hearing today? Be sure to follow All Dash Gamer Podcasts on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify by simply typing dashgamer.com into the search bar of your favorite podcast provider. And don't forget to check out our gaming, anime, and pop culture related news on dashgamer.com. Now, back to the show.
Jordan Ollerman over at IGN actually gave us an update on 15 unannounced characters reportedly found in a data mine for Marvel's Avengers. These characters include Ant-Man, the Wasp, Vision, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Falcon, Marvel, Mockingbird, Quake, Winter Soldier, Scarlet Witch, Captain Marvel, Kate Bishop, She-Hulk, and War Machine.
Dope.
I know you're excited, so please go on.
Yeah, but there's a big spread of characters there with a bunch of different power sets, which is great because if you sort of apply that MMO sort of feel, because right now with Marvel's Avengers, like you go in with a team of 4 and each person is a different skill set.
Yep.
So when you go in and you've got your Hulk, you've got your She-Hulk, obviously they will probably play very similarly. You've got War Machine, who will probably play very similarly to Iron Man, because it's the same kind of thing. But like Scarlet Witch, and be able to like fucking psych powers and like blow shit up from a distance and be more of a sort of AoE aggro control compared to like heavy hitting tank.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot of potential in that list of characters because Doctor Strange is in that same space.
Yeah.
Right? So when you've got these different ways that you can tackle enemies, tackle an encounter, I like where that's going. Now, granted, the game is littered with many other problems, as everyone has discussed over the last week.
Too many puddles.
Yeah. But the potential here is cool. And the back of it, like, so Ant-Man we knew about. He appeared in a trailer recently, I'm pretty sure.
Yep.
So that's cool. But yeah, like if you want to be a real dork about it, everyone's been an Avenger at some point. So the potential of who could be in this game is rad. And the short list, I'm pretty happy with.
I am pessimistic. Now, I know that I'm going to be getting a review copy thanks to Bandai Namco. That's already in the works.
Same here, hopefully. Yeah, we're in the same boat.
And I will review the title. I did not play the beta for the reason that I did not want any pre-imposed impressions to kind of sway me, positively or negatively as I head into the game completely finished. I don't want to be influenced by a beta before I actually experienced its campaign entirely. And the reason being is because I feel like betas kind of do that a little bit. They give that influence of, hey, this game's going to be either good or bad. And I have avoided reading thoughts, previews, impressions. The only one that I've heard so far is yours on For the Players. Everything else I've kind of blocked out. I still remain pessimistic based on early trailers and teasers and previews that I've seen and screenshots. Even the gameplay that I've got up on screen at the moment, still as impressive as some of it looks, it still looks rough. I'm still going to remain pessimistic heading in. I don't want to be negative towards it. But I feel like I still have the right to be questionable about its final result.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. So having played the beta, I completely agree with you. Like, for me, it was about confirming expectations.
Yeah.
So having played the A-Day demo at PAX, I wanted to see how it had improved in the 10 months since I played it last. Because that was an alpha build. This is a beta build. Theoretically, there should be improvements. And it was. It was visually better.
Yeah.
Played about the same, but it was certainly visually better. But with this being a Destiny Division-esque games as a service, I needed to put my expectations in check. I wanted to be like, well, the A-Day missions is clearly not what this game is going to be, because that's very single player. and focused, story driven, where that's not what the game is. So I needed to see what the game wanted to be, and this did that. It put things in a perspective for me.
Yeah.
But the difficulty is, I think, for a fairish review, because I'd been kind of media silent on it. Once I was like, oh, okay, and then I played it. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling it. I wanted to make sure that I was in the right avenue, because I do think it's very unfair to go into a game thinking that it's going to be something else.
Yeah, of course.
Because that is bringing your own biases in there.
Mm-hmm.
Or your own preconception.
Yeah.
So therefore, you're not looking at you're looking at what the game should have been or could have been, rather than what it is.
Yeah.
So for me, this was realigning. I'm like, okay, cool. I know what this game is. I know what it's trying to achieve now. So when the game comes out, I can actually review it on its merit.
Yeah. This story comes by way of Joe Screbbles over at IGN, Betson, and was one that we just brought up just before in terms of microtransactions and stuff, but it doesn't apply here because Control is getting a free next-gen upgrade. Well, technically. Yeah, this is where it's bad. Control
free.
Yeah. It's a free next-gen upgrade from the new Ultimate Edition. I'll read the article, then we'll talk about how this actually works. So existing owners of Control on console will get a free upgrade to its PS5 or Xbox Series X version, but it's only for those who buy a new Ultimate Edition. The new Ultimate Edition was announced today and will be released on Steam August 27th, followed by Epic Game Store PS4 and Xbox One versions on September 10th. It will come with all the previous upgrades and both of the game's expansions. Alongside that announcement came the news that those who bought the console versions of the Ultimate Edition will get the free upgrade to the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X version when they arrive. But those who already own the game on console will not. Yeah, this sucks. So please go on.
I'm coming. I said, as I've talked about it for the players, I'm pretty cynical the last couple months or so. I don't know what it is. Probably the whole everything. But
COVID.
Yeah. Looking at this, there's two ways I approach it.
Mm-hmm.
One, this sucks.
Yep.
Because what they're trying to do is they are trying to have their cake and eat it too.
Yep.
It's a free upgrade, but it's not really. It's a free upgrade if you buy this version. No one has that version.
Yeah.
As we discussed, but as I said before, Control came out a year ago, pushing a year ago, right?
Yep.
Then if you enjoyed the game, you would have already bought the season pass. So who is this Ultimate Edition for? Anyone that gives a shit has already bought the game.
Yeah, of course.
So that's dirty. And as I talked about for the players, we understand that although Control was a critical success, we never saw it chart. It didn't do a lot. Presumably it didn't do a lot dollar-wise, right? And this may be their attempt to sort of pick up some extra dollars and balance that back out.
I feel before you continue, I feel like what it is though as well is they know the very points you just brought up were part of the reason, but the other reason was they knew that this wasn't a polished title. It was rough. And I remember when we reviewed it over almost a year ago. It was a year ago actually. When we reviewed it a year ago, how our first initial impressions were towards the title that weren't completely positive. There were a lot of problems with it, but I feel like their enhancements that they want to implement now for next gen are going to kind of clean all that and wash it away in a way. But
you'd hope so, because the game is it was from a story's perspective, from a narrative perspective. I thought it was great. I loved it.
Yeah, it was great. It was good.
Performance was a real issue because it was just had a lot. There's a lot of particle effects. There's a lot of destruction. There's a lot of things that just the PS4 was not capable of, but they scaled it back. So the potential for it on the next gen is amazing. Something simple as going in and out of menus without the game shitting the bed would be lovely.
Yeah.
However, I also disagree with this entitlement that comes from every game. You should give me a free upgrade. No. No. I don't know where that stems from, but No.
So it's funny because I've just brought up a tweet that you're talking about. This one comes from former IGN editor Marty Sleever, who stated,
oh shit, is he active again?
He is active. He's around basically, but he's on Twitter. He said Control only getting a free next gen update for people who buy this Ultimate Edition of the game is a pretty shitty way to treat fans who've supported the game plus its DLC for the past year. Hopefully, it's remedied.
Ha!
Ha ha ha!
Well done. Yeah, it is dirty because once again, Jim Sterling brought up a good point in one of his latest Jim impressions. Was that the game industry continues to make you feel like a moron if you don't buy a game at launch.
Yep.
Then they continue to fuck you if you buy a game at launch.
Yep.
And they're like, you need to buy this game at launch, so you did. And then you get banged for it later.
Yeah.
But yeah, as I said, like I strongly disagree with this narrative that everyone, like we deserve a free upgrade. Like, no, you don't. You deserve the game they gave you, and they gave you that.
Correct.
Like that's what you paid for. You paid for that game at that time, and then the promise of like season pass, the promise of what that DLC would become. Look, and that promise has been met. The DLC's been delivered or delivering.
Right.
So it's a PS4 game.
Is it shitty that you have to repay for the game though?
Yeah, but that's under the presumption. They say it is a free upgrade if you buy the Ultimate Edition, which leads me to believe you will if you want to upgrade, you can still upgrade to PS5, but you're going to have to pay like $15-$20 or something.
I'm okay with that.
That's how I take it. Like I take it as it's not blocked behind that. It's free behind a paywall. Like, it's very worded. It's very word focused. It's very PR spin.
Well, we go back to the beginning of this gen. Call of Duty, FIFA, and other titles. I can't remember the name off the top of my head right now. If you remember, you put the PS3 disc into the system, you pay the $10, you get the PS4 version.
Yep.
What is wrong with people? Do you not remember this?
No, gamers forget.
Yeah,
the consumer forgets. Like,
that's entitlement.
You forget what happens at the start of this year. Like, it's the same reason that every time Game of the Year awards come around, everyone forgets the games that come out in January.
That's true.
Same idea. But yeah, like I said, I do have an issue when it comes to, this. Like, you see a lot of shit on the internet, like, we're doing it right now, being like, this is a bad decision. But yeah, they don't owe us anything. They probably should, but business is business. And the issue here is the way it's been promoted. That is the concern. Like, if they come out and said, "Hey, we're gonna offer PS5 support. If you want it, it's $20. However, if you don't own it, buy it here. You get the whole game. You get DLC, and it's available for next gen as well. There you go."
Yeah.
Like that. That's not a loaded statement. That's actually a really good statement. If anything, they've caused more trouble by trying to sanitize their statement to not hurt anyone.
Sanitize.
Yeah.
I get what you mean. Yeah,
like everyone should be.
That's correct. Please wash your hands. Betson, wrestling. This story comes by way of actually SmackDown Hotel, which is a place that I used to get all my created superstars from, all the codes from. So they say WWE 2K Battlegrounds is a completely new WWE gaming experience that will feature arcade action and over-the-top WWE superstar designs, environmentals, and moves. So essentially, for people who aren't familiar, I would equate it to the WWE All-Stars video game title.
Or if you're a wrestling fan, think NBA Playgrounds.
Correct. So this is so they've revealed the entire roster. There are 70 superstars here, including like AJ Styles, Big E, Apollo Crews. The New Day, obviously there.
Yeah, so and it's impressive. They're spanning the last 30 years. So you're getting new now up and comers. You got likes of Ray Ripley, Australia represent.
Yep.
And then you've got sort of big names like The Rock and Stone Cold and Taker, of course. And then if you want to go older again, you've got like the likes of Sergeant Slaughter.
Yeah.
It just the range is huge. 70 superstars is a lot. I was originally turned off of this game. But once I saw this list, I'm like, and because I'm slowly starting to mark out in general, I'm like, I'm coming back.
And they've even got the April release list in this as well. Luke Gallows and Cole Anderson over here.
Yeah, a couple, the Good Brothers who are no longer at the company,
Now at Impact Wrestling. Of course,
their own Talk Shopper Mania. Go check it out. It's an absolute laugh.
Shawn Michaels, Seth Rollins, Triple H, Undertaker, you name them, they're all here. And then post-launch DLC, another 63 characters announced as well. Vader,
awesome.
Sting, Scott Hall, Shane McMahon, Sweaty McMahon.
Oh, Sweat McMahon.
Sweaty Shane McMahon and his Raw Underground. Macho Man Randy Savage, Kevin Nash, Goldberg, Eddie Guerrero. I'm just naming all the big ones that I see. Cactus Jack. So you're getting all the three faces of Foley here. Batista, Big Boss Man, the Iconics, Kane.
Obviously, it's not everybody, but there is a substantial collection of people there.
Have they got Rusev in this? They don't have Rusev, man.
Oh.
Don't have Rusev, but they do have Lana.
Oh, okay. It's interesting.
Come on, man.
Well, it also depends because, even with 2K20, there are a number of superstars that did not agree. So for Mick Foley for the longest time, there's a window of time where he wasn't available in any 2K games because he disagreed with the contract. Same as a lot of NXT stars. If you notice, there's probably not a lot of NXT people on this list. And that's because,
they never do though. They always add them as DLC later.
Yes, but because the dollar values they get is less because they're not seen as the same the same selling power. That's
fair enough, yeah.
Which is why some of them sort of argue. I think that's why Ciampa's not available. Because Ciampa fights against it as well.
Betson, this story comes by way of Ash Whaling over at Well Played, who says, hold up, Fortnite seems to have been removed from iOS App Store and Google Play. As if 2020 didn't have enough interesting and world-ending stuff going on, apparently the digital landscape needs a good scare for its denizens. Apple has already actually removed Fortnite from the iOS App Store. Why? Because apparently Epic Games has violated its guidelines. For those that don't know, all in-app transactions end up paying Apple 30% fee. This is similar to Google's Play Store. It seems that to get around this, Epic has added a new in-game payment system that entirely circumvents the nasty marketplace fee. Interestingly enough, even though they lowered the price on their V-Buck bundles, they're pushing the savings on their consumers. Now, Apple has made it clear in the past that these rules are in place as a way to keep its store safe for its users, and as a response to what Epic has done, they have offered a statement on The Verge claiming that Epic did this, quote, with the express intent of violating the App Store guidelines regarding in-app payments that apply to every developer who sells digital goods or services, end quote. So basically, they were like, look, fuck Apple. We don't give a shit. We did it on purpose. We want the money.
Yeah, so this is the thing. There's a lot here. If you want my full rant, go check out For the Players. I went hard for 25 minutes.
It was really good.
And there's a couple issues here. So the issue is we're passing the savings on to you. No, you're not. They're like, so Apple take 30%. So the saving that they are offering is 20%.
Mm-hmm.
Therefore, Epic suddenly getting 10% more profit. That is not a saving. That is more money for them. Granted, you as a player, if they were where it's 70%, for every dollar we used to get 70 cents. You can no longer buy it through Apple. You can circumvent them, but we still get 70%. No, they get 80% now. This is dirt. This is not the good gesture that they claim it to be, even remotely.
Yeah.
Additionally, as you said, they broke the rules. They willingly broke the rules.
Well, they said that themselves.
And they are attempting to spin the narrative for them to be like, we're hard done by. We, Epic, are fighting the good fight for the monopoly of Apple.
Yeah, bullshit.
Epic Games, the same company that has gone out of their way to stop competition by actively seeking out and using their 10-cent money, might I add, to buy out companies, to buy exclusivity rights on a number of big titles. That is that is monopoly. Yep. You fucks.
Yep.
Like they don't like the inability to not be self-aware, or the intention to not be self-aware is abhorrent.
Yep.
And then on top of that, they're also using this. They're being shunned by monopoly. Shunned by this monopoly, where they're now trying to market that this whole 1984 shtick. Like, don't turn 2020 into 1984. Once again, very tone deaf for a company that has a large minority stake from a company from a communist country. That they want to talk about how this oppressive regime, God, it's so dumb. But it actually makes me really mad. Yeah, what they're essentially trying to do is they're trying to weaponize their fan base, which are built of underage children.
Yep.
They want them to go to the internet and yell at Apple because they broke the rules.
Silly.
That sounds like a bunch of fucking frat boys who vandalized something, or they did something wrong and then went, it's your fault because you allowed us to break the rules.
Such bullshit.
It's absolutely disgusting. And on top of that as well, just to add final point, anyone that's considered this hashtag free Fortnite, you will get nothing out of this.
No, definitely
there is no net positive for you at all.
No.
All you're doing is helping one giant corporation fight another giant corporation to make millions of dollars, because they have slightly more millions of dollars than me. That's what it comes down to. You get nothing.
If you want to hear more of Betson's rant, click the eye. If you're watching on YouTube, click the eye in the top right-hand corner, and it will take you to For the Plays, this week's episode where Betson just goes off his nutter. It was great.
It is absolutely disgusting.
I was fixing my computer this week because I got a little bit of an issue with my graphics card, and I'm just listening in the background to Betson go off his nutter. Yeah. It was great. So make sure you guys listen to that.
I swore a lot less in this one, there's some more points that I have, but it is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, it is, definitely. Betson, the final story of the night.
What's your thoughts, Dashley? You didn't jump on any of your thoughts.
Look, I don't care about Epic. I don't care about Fortnite. They can do whatever the fuck they want. To be honest, it is a dirty practice. I don't like the fact that Epic trying to basically come out and say, we're the good guys. We're trying to save everybody $1. Fuck off. You guys are terrible. You're just as dirty as Apple. So for me, look, honestly, I stand back, I look at this and I survey it and I go, it's just a fucking pile of shit on fire. This is a circumstance that I can give a shit about. Fight.
Well, that's the thing. Look, as add to that, I don't have a stake. I don't use the Epic Game Store. Same. I don't play Fortnite. Same. I pretty much don't use any, apart from like whatever sports the Unreal Engine. I have no involvement and or stake with Epic, period.
Yeah.
Right? So take that as you will.
The final story comes away, and I can hear your kick creeping in, from Shannon over at Press Start, who says, Microsoft Flight Simulator's massive 95 gigabyte client game download is taking people forever. Microsoft Flight Simulator is out on PC today. No doubt people are rushing to play it. It's currently sitting at 93 on Metacritic. We gave it a 10 out of 10. That was Press Start. We gave it a 9 out of 10. Make sure that you checked our review out on Dash Game, and I'm about to talk about it with Betson in a second. Gamers taken to Twitter throughout the day claiming that they're having issues with the large in-game client download. Now, I'm going to stress this. The game is a 5 gig download at first, and then a 95 gig day one patch.
Yeah, so apparently that's the catch. It's like you can pre-download it, but you're not pre-downloading 100 gig, pre-downloading 5. Yeah. And then, surprise, motherfucker, 95.
Yeah. Look, for me, it was a non-issue. I thought that for, like, what essentially what it was doing was, instead of making you wait the entire time, it gives you kind of like this splash screen that downloads the game for you anyway. So there's no difference in downloading the game from the Microsoft Store directly or downloading it in the game. It's all coming from the same server. So,
but additionally, you downloaded it pre-release when there's less
nobody.
Yeah, there is less throttle. So right now, if everyone's trying to download this humongous file at the same time, same way. Like, what did I buy? What did I get recently that took somehow forever?
Fall Guys.
I think it was Fall Guys. Yeah, it was Fall Guys. Like, it's a 5 gig, 6 gig game. Should take no time at all. It's gonna be like 3 hours.
Yep, same.
Just because of just the level of demand on
the game
that
crashed
title.
on launch night. Or launch night, yeah.
So it's the same idea, except this is a bigger file, so it's going to take 5 times as long.
Game review.
All right, Betson, time to talk about Flight Simulator 2020. Thanks to the kind folk over at Xbox Australia, I got myself early access to the title, and I got to say that this is one of the most gorgeous titles out this year. It was astonishing to actually be able to sit back and experience how marvelous and how astonishing this ambitious freaking this monumental piece of software that I could shed a tear for it, man. It is so beautiful. And the thing is, it does take advantage of Microsoft's Bing service in terms of downloading 2 petabytes, dude. That's 2,000, by the way, for anybody playing at home, that's 2,000 terabytes. 2 petabytes of data, online data streaming to the game in real time.
Not at once, only when you need it.
Correct, yeah. So as you're flying, it downloads. But in that saying that service there in itself is incredible, dude. Like, it's honestly one of the most, it's a technical marvel, to be honest. It's one of the best things I've seen in gaming for a long time. My gripes with the game are that it's comprehensive as fuck. So
it is a simulator.
Using a controller can actually make it more difficult to play the title, because what happens is afterwards, it gives you a standard keyboard and mouse controls to control your plane, and that's fine. But picking up an Xbox controller, I'm holding a PlayStation controller because I don't have my Xbox controller in reach, and playing it, and then having commands come up on screen, and then commands come up for keyboard, it's like, oh shit, I'm getting confused here, and it's a little overwhelming. So accessibility becomes an issue afterwards too. This is not in terms of accessibility, not really an accessible game. It's not for somebody who gets overwhelmed easily when gaming. It's not one of those things where essentially taking off and landing is pretty much the difficult part of it. Once you're up in the air and you have your aircraft stable, switch on that autopilot, go make yourself a cuppa, come back, and it's like you're piloting a plane on Qantas or something, like you're going on a proper flight. But yeah, there is a learning curve, and it is difficult. But the encumbrance of its entire experience is naturally... It's astonishing, dude. I love it. It's one of the best titles this year, honestly. I can't get over it. I feel like this is, though, going to be overlooked because it's a simulation title. Simulation titles don't go as strong on the market as they used to back in the day. A lot more people are looking for cinematic experiences rather than something that's a little cumbersome, a little slow in that, in the gaming realm. They want something that's a little bit more expeditious, a little more faster, a little more action-paced. And like, it's just one of those things where, yeah, it'll have that niche market going towards it, and a lot of people are excited about it now because it's a brand new toy. But once that kind of wears off a little bit, I can see where it's kind of go down in hype. I can see also how they may be able to polish it over time as well, because there are a couple of blemishes here and there that occur, namely because it is downloading data in real time and kind of forming buildings, kind of like an AutoCAD kind of deal, where buildings are, it uses the metadata off Bing and satellite imagery to kind of say, okay, towers are this tall, and the height of this is this, but then there are like handcrafted landmarks by the studio Asobo, who did the name escapes me right now, the rat game,
Plague Tale.
Plague Tale. Thank you. Same developer did A Plague Tale. They took certain monuments and certain airports from around the world, rebuilt them themselves by hand, to make sure that there's a lot of detail put into essential landmarks that you'll be going around the world with. One of the things I wanted to see straight away as soon as I booted up in the game. Now, I used to work at JB Hi-Fi over at DFO Essendon Airport, and when I was there, obviously being an airport, I wanted to see if that was in the game. Yeah, it was. Did they build DFO? Yeah, they did. Does it look like DFO? Yeah, it does. It's magnificent. But the way that they do it, obviously, is by taking that satellite imagery and kind of like spreading it over, if you know what I mean. So it's kind of like got this paintbrush effect, and it's not sharp sometimes.
Well, that's understandable. You can't have the expectation for them to render buildings for a suburb of Melbourne.
Correct.
And a worldwide scale.
Well, you'd be surprised. because there is a lot of detail put into certain parts of areas. But one of the notes I made to make mention of while I was writing my review was, if you want to see your house from a bird's eye view, Google Maps is your friend. This is not the, like, you jumping in, yeah, you might see your house and go, oh, look, there's my house, but it's not going to be something that you're kind of going to be able to stop and look at. So, is this something that you would see yourself kind of like sitting back and chilling and playing and getting into?
I don't think so, because I'm not really into sort of aviation. Is not my forte. I have friends of mine that are super into it. So I've got my a friend of ours, Tristan. He's got the full rig at home. He's got the wheel and the levers and the knobs and the switches, and he has been like absolutely peeing his pants for this game, and so he's incredibly excited. And another friend of mine, Jerd, as well, he's done the same thing. He's slowly getting his setup together, and he's ready to rock and roll. So for the right person, it is that level of exciting. So like, I'm a big farm sim guy, so that would be it's the same. I can appreciate the excitement from that same space.
Correct. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I love that by sound that this is kind of what everyone's been wanting in terms of a flight sim game. Yeah. Like it's it's as realistically rendered as possible.
Yeah.
You're seeing real life locations, because it's all well and good to fly around a made up Earth or made up planet, where here it's what you know. Like if I wanted to, I could fly to, where I grew up. I could fly to Traralgon Airport. It's going to look like garbage, because who gives a fuck about Traralgon? Not even people who live in Traralgon give a shit about Traralgon.
Yeah.
But, I could go there, and that is awesome. So you could literally fly from like Sydney to LA.
Yes, you can. And in real time too. So it would take you 15 hours to do that entire flight in game. And like you mentioned, it's not imperative in terms of detail and design. Like, there are going to be farmland areas, like like there are isolated areas within maps, like farmland areas, like where freaking PAJ lives, that is just like a big blur, and basically that's just taken from satellite imagery. It's what it is. Satellite imagery. I'll put it this way: when you are flying, and you can probably see it on the screen right now, it looks like a Google map. Like you're getting pictures from Google Maps. It's nothing that kind of will make you sit there in astonishment, that it's some sort of graphical marvel from far away. But as you get closer to it and the renderings start to appear, and you see buildings kind of like how they are in real life, and some of them that render real well, you're like, holy shit, this is a beautiful game. Land masses and everything else that render beautifully as well. Holy shit, this is a good game. But then when you get out, as I said, into like those isolated areas, and it's just flat Earth, because that's what AJ Styles believes, the Earth is flat. Then you're kind of like, oh, it just looks like a picture from Google Maps. And there are areas that look like that. Trees.
But I think that comes down to understanding your expectations as well. Like,
exactly.
When you compare this to previous flight sim games, this would be unimaginable.
Yeah.
So even just the concept alone is astonishing. I think it was used that word before. It's astonishing. Yeah, I mean, like if you said to someone like, a decade ago. You want to play a game where you can fly to any airport and it looks as if you are looking down on the real world in real time. That is like just baffling.
What baffled me was I did a flight from Melbourne to Wellington, and on the way there was a thunderstorm in the middle of the Atlantic, dude. Oh, sorry, in the Oceania. In the middle of the Oceania, there was a freaking thunderstorm. I hit turbulence on my plane. I was like, I wonder. Had a look on my phone. Holy shit, there it is on Bureau of Meteorology. It was right there. And I was like, what the fuck? It is legit. Rainfall, wind type, like everything else, it picks it up in game. And if it happens in real life, you'll experience it on the plane too. And that is something that I find to be incredible design. I love that kind of thing where, they take real life circumstances or real world circumstances and implement it into gaming real time. And Flight Simulator has the capability of doing that and, making players feel almost like they have that skill, to fly a plane. It's magical, man. And I can't praise it enough. It's such a fantastic game. Such a fantastic game. And yeah, I wrote a review up. It's got a 9 out of 10, so make sure that you visit dashgamer.com and check out my full written review.
Global gaming releases.
All right, Betson, it is time for the Dash Gamer Global Gaming releases for the next fortnight. And we actually have a pretty long list. I didn't expect this long of a list, but here we are for the next 2 weeks. Thanks to the guys over at VG247 who always provide these lists and do a great job at doing so. So, Betson, from August 18th, which is today, Mortal Shell is out on PC, PS4, and Xbox One. Microsoft Flight Simulator on PC, August 18th. It's coming to Xbox One real soon, so make sure you keep your eyes out on that. Rogue Legacy 2, Steam Early Access on PC, August 18th. Peaky Blinders Mastermind on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, August 20.
Yeah, totally good. It is literally based on the TV show.
There you go. Battletoads, this is the remake on PC and Xbox One, August 20. PGA Tour 2K21, PC, PS4, Xbox One, Stadia, August 21. I was picking up on Stadia. Are you picking this one up?
I'm considering it. Like, it's caught my interest.
Same.
It's one of those weird things. I'm like, maybe.
Yeah. If you do, we got to play.
Yeah, we'll have to have a tourney or something.
Yeah, it'd be sweet. No Straight Roads on PC, PS4, Xbox One, and Switch, August 25th. Look out on Dash Gamer for that. We've got a review coming for that one. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered Edition on PS4, Switch, Android, iOS on August 27th. Elite Squad, Android and iOS on August 27th. Tell Me Why on PC and Xbox One, August 27th.
It's not the NSYNC game.
Yeah,
Backstreet Boys.
It's actually a Don't Nod game, and I'm really excited for that one, actually, being a Life is Strange fan. So, Control Ultimate Edition, Steam, PS4 and Xbox One, August 27th and September 10th for PS4 and Xbox, respectively. Windbound on PC, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, and Stadia, August 28th. I'm excited for that one. Jump Force on Switch, August 28th. Madden NFL 21, PC, PS4, Xbox One, August 28th. Captain Tsubasa, Rise of New Champions, PC, PS4, Switch, August 28th. That sounds like a weak one. Wasteland 3, PC, PS4, Xbox One, August 28th. And Project Cars 3, PC, PS4, Xbox One, August 28th. And that is the Dash Gamer Global Gaming list for the next fortnight. So, some alright releases there.
Yeah, like Rogue Legacy catches my attention.
Yep.
Only because I love that my character could randomly just have IBS, which I'm like, that's so relatable. Yeah, that one's probably the big one for me, I think. But there's a couple other that kind of stand out.
Well, PGA Tour definitely stands out for me.
Yeah.
I really want to get my hands on that one. No Straight Roads. I'll have a review out as well for that. So just keep an eye out. I can't say more than that. But yeah, other than that, I guess. Look, I'm going to be honest with you. I know we just spoke about Control and we kind of talked about it in a little bit of a negative light. But I'm still intrigued, and I still want to.
If you haven't played it, buy it.
Yeah,
brilliant.
Yeah,
but like its practices are gross, but the game is really good.
Yeah. Guys, if you didn't know, this is the Dash Gamer podcast, our bi-weekly gaming podcast where the boys get together and talk about the latest in the world of video gaming. Follow Mr. Ryan Betson on Twitter at HaggardMC and Pop Culture at PopCultures.
I don't know where the tag is, so I'm just going to do this.
It's this way. There we go. You can follow me on Twitter at DashGamer. Don't forget to follow the show over on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify. Give us those cheeky 5-star ratings. They surely help us out. And also catch the VOD over on dashgamer.com and on YouTube. Subscribe and hit that bell. That surely helps us out. And leave a comment, leave some feedback. Let us know what you thought of the show. Betson, what a good show. What a good discussion. Interesting show this week because very light on news, but we managed to get through it, which is interesting.
Yeah. Apparently, like, we had the same problem for the players. It was, like, there's nothing here to talk about. Oh, that's an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah. I cut out 2 news stories out of this episode too while we were going because I was like, man, we might be going over. Guys, thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week. Myself and PAJ will catch you next week for Operation PlayStation. I'm hoping that I can get Joel for next episode of Dash Gamer Podcast. He was supposed to be here this week. Don't know
he just kind of like fucks off out of nowhere. He gets all real chatty on socials and then just fucking disappears.
Yeah. If not, it'll be PAJ on the next episode, which will be his last before he goes off on paternity leave.
Yeah, goes another babies.
But not to worry. Operation PlayStation will still go ahead as planned every fortnight with myself and Paul. But for the next about 6 months, there'll be like guest hosts coming in and filling in Paul's chair, and hopefully Joel will turn up. But if not, I'll figure it out. But until another fortnight, thank you guys so much. So take care of each other, stay safe, wash your hands.
Wash your hands, cover your face.
With a mask, not your hand.
Yeah, with a mask. Good, cool.
Correct. Please do. We want to get out of lockdown.
Wear your mask. Yeah, I want to go see my dad. Please wear your mask.
Yeah.
dashgamer.com